Welcome to the Journey Unfolds. Confession time. Okay, well, not entirely my fault, to be clear. I committed to coming on every week. We took a week off to go on vacation. That vacation got extended 2 weeks because our airline went on strike while we were gone. And so we were forced to extend it by 6 days, which you can look at it in many different ways. It was good in the sense of more quality time, more things to check out, more forced holidays. On the flip side of it, though, a lot of stress for two adult children who needed to replace all their shifts. My husband, who'd started his new job, unable to get back in time to get back to it. Just a lot of things. So life has just been lifing around here. And of course, today's the first time I've had to come back and do the journey unfolds. And if I'm being really honest with you, I really didn't want to. And I'm going to get into a little bit about why that is shortly. The last time I was on was really around what is it like to be at ground zero? When I first started this back in May, I had very lofty ideas about where God was taking me next. Little did I know that I had it all wrong, and He was not taking me in the direction I thought. And it has been quite the journey to have unfold. And I'm still in it. I am at ground zero. We arrived literally just this past Friday. I had a fair bit of anxiety when I was gone because I knew I was coming back to who knows what. I just knew that things were going to change dramatically for my professional life, for my career. When you have faith and you know that God knows you better than you know yourself, and He's ultimately the one in control, and He ultimately knows exactly what needs to happen, why then, if that's the case, do we allow ourselves to be overcome with fear and anxiety and just the dread of the unknown? Well, I can tell you right now, it's been extremely uncomfortable, but at the same time, I've experienced, especially today and a little bit of yesterday, more and more of this deeper sense of peace that can only come from God, that surpasses all human understanding. So, yes, I am at ground zero. I have been given some, shall we call them downloads, some ideas, some promptings to take action on. And so I have been faithfully at my desk doing things, but there are things that are important to the way that God intends for me to show up in my life and in my work. So that's why I'm here today, because I didn't start this just to start and walk away. I know, even though it's not clear to me yet, that God is using me and the journey unfolds to touch others in some way. Whether that happens today or 20 years from now, hardly important. What's important is that I show up, that I stay consistent, and that I just continue to navigate this journey with as much transparency and honesty as I can. Because I am not going to sit here and tell you that suddenly the skies are opening up and everything is making sense. It has not been easy, and it continues to create mornings where I wake up and I go, oh God, you know, what am I doing? What am I doing? And that can be a very disorienting feeling because you think about things like finances, you think about what your life looks like, how you fill your days and what you're up to, your routines, it's all impacted. And so I can honestly say that if nothing else, my pride, my expectations, my demands that things look a certain way, my attachment to how they look, all of that has been melted away. I still have hopes. I still have desires. I still hope that what God is cooking in the background is what is going to give me meaning and purpose in my career. Now, again, it's all up to God. And so there is a humbleness that comes with that, and there's no room for my ego. It's not going to be a long episode today. It's me getting back into the saddle and being honest about where I am and sharing some insights that I've had along the way and hopefully inspiring you if you're in your own version of this journey where there are the unknowns and you feel like everything's changing. Maybe you're changing, your life is changing, your relationship is changing, your career is changing, whatever it is. It's all the same in the sense that we are here for such a short time. And God is always at work within us. I hope that by sharing what I will today, that you will be able to apply some of these principles or these ideas or these ways of being to your own life. Before I left for the trip, we left on July 25th. Before I left, I had come to the realization that my business as it is was no longer going to be. Now, even now, fast forward 3 weeks or so, I realize I don't know what it's going to look like. Am I going to be burning it down completely? Or is it going to stay as a structure by which I am hired out as a contractor, consulting perhaps, coaching, whatever it is? I don't know. But the idea of what I thought it was going to look like has been stripped completely away. That's a massive shift to make after 15 years of pouring your heart and soul into something. And while I don't know the shape of what this is going to look like moving forward, I actually feel a renewed sense of excitement because as long as I was trying to control the business and I was trying to make it look a certain way, I was failing every step of the way because I don't have the capacity to think as big as God does. I don't have the capacity to reach people the way that God could use me to do. He knows what's required. To have my life mean so much more than me, to have it mean that I can actually impact other people and serve them in ways that are really powerful. So let me just talk to you a little bit about the irony of this extended vacation that we had. It was an extended 6 days. WestJet, the airline we flew with, went on strike on the same day that we were supposed to fly home. So we were stranded in Halifax, Nova Scotia, opposite side of Canada, for 6 days longer than planned. So, as I mentioned, my kids are trying to replace their shifts. My husband is trying to figure out if he can do any work from the road, so to speak. And everything just felt out of control. And as you can imagine, our family, we had some really good times, but it's a long time to be in tight quarters. And everybody just wanted to get home and get back to life, routines. And we're all getting sick of each other. Let's just call it for what it is. So we did come home, and I jokingly tell people it might be a month before we all want to see each other again. And I'm kidding. Things are a little bit better already 3 days later because we've had a chance to settle back in and just really look back and appreciate the experiences. But I was itching to get home and figure my life out. So I knew coming home that the answers weren't all just going to be there waiting for me like a nice package at the front door. Actually, there was no revelation waiting for me. There was no giant lightning bolt. There was no perfectly formed plan. There was no ta-da, I know exactly what I'm going to do. It has been just this slow drip of divine revelation, guidance, little mini steps that I've been taking. And really, the thing that's so powerful, honestly, and I share this because I hope you do this too, is every morning I just open the Bible and I reflect on the verse of the day and I write from my heart. I'm asking Jesus, like, please, what do you want from me? What do you want me to understand? What do you want me to do? I ask for protection from my anxiety, my fears, my insecurities, and I ask for possibilities to open up, opportunities to open up, for things to shift and change so that I can move into the very thing that He's calling me into, which again, I don't know what that is. So, what I've realized that maybe coming home, it showed me a couple of things. Number one, getting away created distance. And I didn't realize until yesterday how much I had needed that distance because when you're in the thick of the weeds, it's very hard to see them. It's very hard to distinguish one thing from another. Whereas the distance helped me to detach even more from the expectations I had of how business should look going forward. And so, what it's done too is it's opened my heart, it's opened my mind, it's opened my eyes, and it has made me very shocking open. What does that actually mean? So, when I talk about having an open heart, I'm really talking about letting God speak to me in here, not up here. This is where fear lives, by the way. This is where anxiety and fear and stories and narratives and all the things are created. It's in our mind. And that's one valuable lesson I learned in something called leadership back in the day when I did intensive training, is to get out of our head and into our heart. And that is as true spiritually as it is in a secular world. We have to get back to our heart where that calm knowing really is. And so for me, getting into my heart and having an open heart, it's not letting fear decide what's possible or not possible, but instead letting God work in me and to shape and mold my desires to match His, which has been going on for the last year, if I'm honest. The open mind is recognizing that ideas might come, scenarios might play out, but I'm no longer fixating on them. And that is probably one of the bigger changes that's happened. And I hope that my lesson will help you do this too. But when we get attached to the outcome, when we glob on to how we think something's supposed to look, we make it really, really difficult to navigate. And it's devastating when it doesn't work out that way. I mean, if you really peel it all back and get to the core, that was the issue that I was struggling with. I had expectations for my business, damn it. It was going to do this, it was going to do that, it was going to all these things. And ultimately, I was causing my own pain because I can create a million scenarios in my mind of what this is supposed to look like, but God sees all. I don't. He sees so much better for me. He sees all the things that need to happen. He sees the connections I need to have. He sees the gifts that I can bring, and he sees it all. So an open mind means recognizing, oh, that's a possibility. It excites me, but it's just a small piece of the pie. Only God knows the bigger picture. And then, of course, with open eyes, this is where I'm learning to have those conversations with people, paying attention to what's coming up around me, really taking notice of opportunities or nudges or things that are already happening in the world in front of me. Recognizing that the old me would have been like, nope, that's not possible, and blocked things because it didn't fit my narrative of how I thought things should go. Now it's more of like, oh, that's possible. And if it is what's meant to be, it'll absolutely come to fruition. If not, that's just another thing we can let go of. So it's a whole different way of being that is actually incredibly freeing as well. Because when we're just willing to ride the waves and trust that we're protected and that we will be led to where we're supposed to go, it's amazing how much peace can come and just wash over us. I'm learning that this is not about knowing all the answers. As much as the controller in me wants to know exactly what the plan is, I don't demand to see it anymore because I've recognized that as long as I am fixated on the way that I think things should go, as a human being, and this is true for all of us, I have a really great reputation for messing things up. Don't we all? Because we think that we know more than we do. We really do. We think that we'll figure it out all on our own. And sure, we can to some degree, but it's always going to be in pale comparison to what we can do if God leads it. So I've learned, what do I need to let go of? What do I need to embrace? What perspectives do I need to change? Where am I being prideful? Where's my ego running the show? Where can I soften my heart? Where can I soften my attachments to things or expectations? I came over the last couple of weeks to this realization that those 15 years of building the business and doing all the things, building communities, coaching, developing events, I mean, the list is extensive, but that's valuable. And I realized that it's not that I have to give all that up and walk away. It's that how I utilize that is going to look different and that I'm more loosely carrying it forward. I'm not necessarily abandoning it, but the structure by which I was holding it in is changing. I spent some time on my vacation thinking like, am I just quitting? Am I just dropping everything? And even thought to myself, I wonder if I should just drop the journey unfolds. I mean, really, what purpose does it serve? But that was me coming from a place of this isn't working, so therefore I just need to quit. But actually, I had a really powerful realization the other day where I wrote in my journal, my prayer journal, and I said, what do you need me to let go of? And I was expecting an answer like, you need to let go of everything. You need to let go of the LinkedIn article that I write weekly. You need to let go of the digital growth community. You need to let go of the journey unfolds. I thought that maybe it was like, we're going to let everything go and start with a clean slate. But actually, the answer I got surprised me. The only thing I need you to let go of is your attachment to what it's supposed to look like. only thing that you need to let go of is your attachment to how it's all going to look. That hit me really hard because I realized it's not that I'm doing it all wrong, but that I think it needs to turn out a certain way from a very limited vantage point, by the way. I realized that it was that attachment that made me burn out, that gave me feelings of bitterness and resentment and anger at my business, at the industry, at the idea of entrepreneurship. What I'm saying ultimately, and what I'm really beginning to see after feeling lost in the wilderness. Again, I'm not out of it, but things are becoming clearer. The trees are more spaced apart, right? I can see more of the horizon. And I'm increasingly open to bringing everything that I have built to another organization, ideally a founder-led company that shares the values that I hold dear to my heart, serving people, creating an impact, really helping people transform and live their lives in a way that is powerful, impactful, and ideally faith-based. Maybe, just maybe, through all of this, God was actually preparing me and humbling me, not punishing me, but really getting me ready to take away everything that I thought I had to have to be worthy, to be considered successful. Now, what am I learning here? I think I've shared a lot already about what I've learned, but I know I can trust God to show me what's next. I've always believed that. I've always, in the back of my mind, thought, yeah, God will show me the way. But it's such a blurry line between God's will and my will. And my will just had a way of just completely taking over the trajectory of my life many, many times. And now what I feel is being faithful, being obedient in this journey is not necessarily about knowing exactly what's coming, because clearly I don't, clearly. And taking those steps forward, even though I don't see the clear destination, I do know the general sense of my inner compass, what God's working on in here does know which way is north, which way is south, which direction I'm meant to go. And so that's where the steps are coming in. But there is also a big difference, and this is the big distinction here that I want to point out. There's a big difference between just moving forward, taking those right steps versus forcing forward. The old me would urgently create a plan, do the things like it was always from a place of pressure and striving and I gotta make this work somehow. Of course, when your ego takes over, you attach your worth to that too. So if you fail, it means you suck. That's essentially the way of life that I had developed, sadly enough. So my responsibility right now in this moment in August of 2026 is this. I need to stay open. I need to really listen every single day and discern. Discern is powerful. That's a gift that I think takes a lot to develop and hone in on, but really understanding the difference between my will and God's will, my voice and his voice, and how to diminish the ego stuff and embrace what's so much bigger than me. And so my job is also to notice, to have lots of conversations, to really listen and hear people in terms of what are the needs out there? How can I show up and serve at my best possible capacity? And I need to keep creating things like today's episode because until God says, nope, we're done here and it's clear, there's no reason to quit. In fact, I don't know where the journey unfolds is going, but I trust that God has plans. And my job is to keep showing up and showing up just like this, admitting that I don't even know. I hope that what I have to say is giving value. I hope that it's resonating. I hope that it's landing. I hope that it's touching lives. That's all I can hope for. And I just get to show up in all my imperfection in the ways that God is telling me to. Like I said, I didn't want to drag this one out today, and it took a lot of humble obedience to say, yes, I'll do it, even though I don't want to. And it's not because they don't want to serve, it's because I don't know what I'm doing. And is this worthwhile? It'd be easy to say, forget it, quit. It doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. But the truth is, if we can get out of that, it's not that people don't necessarily care about me, unless you're my family, in which case you better care. But people do care about the message. People care about what God may be trying to tell them. And so that's where I'm here to show up because God might have a message for you through my words. Maybe, maybe not. But if anything does resonate with you, and if any of this feels similar to what you've been going through, I would love to hear it. So please don't hesitate to drop in the comments any thoughts, observations, aha moments. I love, love to hear. So to wrap it all up, the truth is, contrary to what I thought first starting out, that I still have no idea where I'm going. It's like I've said before, perhaps I will find out before you what's happening next. I don't know. I do know that in the coming weeks and months that God will let things unfold exactly as they're meant to. And my job is to continue to be faithful, to continue to surrender in obedience and prayer so that I can be at peace. And so I can know that somehow, some way, God being the provider, that finances will work out, that the right thing will come into my lap, the right opportunities, the right people, the right everything. Because I think there's something so beautiful and so freeing about letting go of the wheel and just being at peace and knowing that wherever you end up is actually exactly where you're meant to. And there's nothing you should be worrying about at any time. I don't know what's happening next, but it's not the same thing as saying I'm lost because I'm not. I have this incredible inner compass. And while I don't have the map, I have a guide who's helping me find my way. I'm going to do something a little different that I haven't done before. And I'm going to, with an open heart, with open ears, and with open eyes, close off with a prayer, not just for me, but for all of you. My prayer is this. Loving Father, please show me and all of us what's next. Not in a giant reveal, but just show us what we're meant to see. Please drop those breadcrumbs on our path and help us find our way to you, more important than anything else. Please protect us from our anxiety, protect us from fear, protect us from evil, and protect us from all the obstacles, the temptations, the things that will deter us from living the life you created us to live. Because, of course, we want you involved. We want you to be a big part of it, to be all of it. Give us the courage that we need, the strength, the resilience to continue forward, even though we can't see what's coming. And show us what it means to know, to experience, to truly live the peace that you give, the peace that surpasses all understanding. And for anyone out there who is listening, who is watching, God, I just pray for them too, that you protect them and their families, their loved ones, that you would just wash over them with peace and love and give them the clarity and the strength to do whatever's required to follow your steps. Not mine, not theirs, but yours. And I ask all of this in Jesus' beautiful and most holy name. Amen. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Journey Unfolds.